and welcome to day 26 of the February reset. Today is the theme of PheebYoga, which is self-study. So I thought today would be a good one to kind of go back to basics and go through the alignment of each pose of sun salutations. Especially I thought this one would be a good one for downward dog, the Adho Mukha Svanasana. Just because I think this is often a pose underestimated as being, I kind of thought of as being a really easy pose, when actually it's quite a difficult one to get the alignment right. And once you get that alignment, you can really feel all the muscles working, and yeah, it's actually quite a difficult one to get right. So I thought we'd just go through each pose, starting from mountain pose. And then go through, and I'll slowly go through the sun salutation, just really talking through each of the poses until we get to downward dog, and then we'll go through, if we have enough time at the end, we'll go through just quickly sun salutation, just to show you how it works with the breath as well. So we'll start at the Tadasana mountain pose. So the first thing I just want to talk about is the pelvic tilt. Because I haven't actually properly spoken about it since the beginning. And this really, especially in Tadasana, you can notice it if someone hasn't got their pelvis tilted or tucked. And it's an important one in this pose. So in the pose, we start with our toes together and our heels apart. I often mention that you have to have your shoulders rolled back and your palms are facing forwards. Now, if I didn't mention about the pelvis being tucked, then people will stand, because it's quite common for people just to stand with their bottom pushed out. So when I say tuck your pelvis, all I mean is that your tailbone is going to tilt and push down towards your feet. You can use your hands to help you do this, so it's a movement. So this is with it tucked out, and when you tuck it in, you tilt it in, tucking pushing your tailbone down towards your feet, pulling your tummy kind of back in. So this is it out, and this is it back in. Sometimes it's just a movement people may not even be able to see. So out and in. And when it's in, this is how you want to be stood, with your shoulders rolled back, arms facing forwards, looking forwards, and this is your Tadasana, your mountain pose. You want your knees to be energized and engaged. And then when we inhale, we lift the arms up above the head. And when our arms above the head, we want to look up. When you look up, we want to relax the shoulders. Keep that pelvis tucked. And when we exhale, we go down towards our forward bend, which is our Uttanasana. Now in the Uttanasana, the aim is, like the future aim once we've stretched and once we're a bit more flexible, is to have our hands by our feet, with the legs straight, looking towards our shins and pulling the stomach to the thighs. But for a lot of people, this is not accessible because the legs are tight, and it's just, some people just aren't that flexible. So we start with our hands reaching towards the mat and our knees bent. And if this is not enough for you, and with our knees bent, we look towards our shins. So we start here. The aim is to have our stomach on our thighs. If this is not enough for you, then we start to move our hands back towards our feet, and we just lengthen out the legs slightly. And we make little micro movements, so you may have 1 week where you just stay here, and the next week where you just move a slight bit more. But you keep moving, maybe your hands go back a little bit more 1 week, and then the next week the legs lengthen a little bit more. But you just stay wherever your body needs, and the aim is always have your stomach on your thigh. So if that means you have to have your legs bent, then that's absolutely fine, have your legs bent. So this is your Uttanasana, and then we say upward lift with a flat back. So a lot of people go straight to having their hands on the mat, with the fingertips on the mat just in front, looking down and with their tailbone tucked out. But if this is, your muscles are tight and you can't quite get down there, then you are going to be able to untuck your tailbone and push your bottom up. So it's more important to come up onto your shins to create a flat back and give you that space, because your legs are going to be straight here. So you come up onto your shins as much as you can, or you come up even further onto your thighs, and you untuck your tailbone, so you push your bottom and your legs towards the back of the room. So you're like this, or you drop towards the back of the room. And you're going to look underneath your face. A lot of people look forwards, but this doesn't create space or along the spine. So you want to keep that movement, keep that long line. So you keep looking down, relax the shoulders, and this is your upward lift. Of course, you can be with your fingertips on the mat. If you can get down there, and you can keep a flat back. And then we bend down again, plant our hands, and then we step back to our plank. Now for now, I'll just keep my knees on the mat while I explain the alignment. So our hands stay underneath our shoulders, so it's shoulder distance. And then our hands are planted evenly, fingers are going parallel to one another. And you may want to slightly push the fingertips into the mat just to protect the wrist. And from here, not sinking down with the chest, we are rounding the upper back to push the shoulder blades away from one another. We relax the neck, look down towards in between the hands. So this is the perfect upper body alignment. And then when we can either stay here if this is too much for our core and we're just building up into our strength, or if we're in full plank, we want to think about engaging the core, a slight gap in between the feet. Our tailbone is pushing down towards, so our tailbone our pelvis is tucked, tailbone pushing down towards our feet, and our heels are pushing towards the mat. And keep thinking about the upper body rounding. Keep breathing. And then we lift up to our downward facing dog. So, keep breathing. And we're going to lower through our Chaturanga. So, you can either come with your knees to the mat, and the first thing we do is we go through a modified lower, which is with our knees first, then we lower our chest, then we lower knees, chest, okay. So we lower our knees, then we lower our chest and our chin, and then we slide through to our cobra. So all the while having our hands on the mat, and when we lower, our elbows come close to our body, and then we slide through. So if we have our knees here, keep our toes tucked, ready to push through. So we lower from our plank here, or your knees may already be down. We lower the knees, then we come through with our elbows close to our body, the chest, bottom stays up, then the chin comes down, and then we push against the mat, slide through, coming to our cobra, untuck the toes, and then the cobra here. The elbows aren't out, the elbows are into the body, slightly bent. The shoulders are down to push the shoulder blades down the back, engage the pelvis and the glutes. So I'll just lower down and we'll go through the full Chaturanga. So we'll go through for a plank, and we'll lower all the way with our arms bent. But instead of going straight to the floor, we will lift up to our upward dog. So we slide up. So we'll just explain it by doing it. So we're from our full plank. We shift our weight forwards over our hands, And we lower with our arms tucked by our side. Before we get to the floor, we inhale, push up, lifting up to our upward dog. So our arms are down. So our shoulders are down. Shoulder blades down the back. Our arms are straight, pushing into the mat. And our legs are engaged. Pushing with the tops of the feet pushing into the mat. So your tops of the legs really don't want to be touching the mat. Glutes engaged, and you're having a slight back bend here, so you can look up. So again, we go from here. We shift forwards. We lower the arms close to the body before we touch the ground. We push up, lifting to our upward dog. This takes quite a lot of arm and shoulder strength. So before you build up to that shoulder strength, the best way to build it, and the stepping stone to it, is the lowering through from your plank or from your modified plank, either with your knees, lowering from to your knees, then the chest and then the chin, and then up to your cobra. And then when you get to the stage where you have a bit more upper body strength, you lower from your plank through your Chaturanga and lifting up to your upward dog. So from your upward dog, you're going to be inhaling here, and then you exhale, push back over your toes. You can slide over your toes, but then you get to a downward dog. So I'll just lower and I'll just explain what to do with your hands here. So your hands again are going to be pushing onto the mat. Your whole hand wants to be planted. You want to be spreading your hands out, and your fingers are going to be going parallel. Your index fingers are going parallel towards one another. You want them to be mat distance, and you want your whole fingers to be pushing into the mat. So when we get up, you realistically want your hands and your feet to be away, the distance away from one another as they are when you're in plank. So you go from plank up to your downward facing dog, and that's the distance your hands and feet should be away from one another. So you want your feet to be the hip distance apart. And when we think about our arms, you want to think about pushing your hands into the mat. So you push your body away from the mat. Make room with your neck and look back to your feet. And with our shoulders, we're externally rotating here, so you want to wrap your shoulders around your body. This feels like we're facing our armpits towards one another. When we get to the tailbone, I want you all to bend your knees and push your hips up, so you're untucking your tailbone. And then we can start thinking about pushing the heels down, keeping that tilt. I really hope that that's been a good guide to a lot of the key poses that happen through vinyasas, the vinyasa classes that you may go to. So it's really good to keep some of the alignment cues in your mind, just to work on it and to keep studying yourself throughout your yoga practice. So tomorrow is going to be the second to last one of February Reset, and that will be a relax and restore practice, taking it nice and easy, and it is based on the theme of, or the niyamas of santosha, which is contentment. I really hope you enjoy that, and I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like the videos that you're enjoying. Thank you.